It's March 2nd, 2017, and the boys over at Nintendo are about to officially release their newest console to the world, a handheld console known as the Nintendo Switch. Their last console had the same feature, was an absolute dumpster fire. So, Nintendo needed a win. Right. The Wii U was truly a peak console. But boys, it failed. Badly. If the Switch fails as well, we might be game over. There was already enough bad press about the Switch coming out, calling it possibly the biggest failure in gaming, the end of gaming, and much more. So they feared for the worst. March 3rd rolls around. Do it. And it launches. The console releases and... my gosh. It's beautiful. Nintendo fans have suffered enough these past several years. The idea of them getting another handheld console that was good looked like a pipe dream at best. But lo and behold, the boys at Nintendo delivered. Amazing gaming experiences, memories for generations, and above all else, Metal Dog. Oh yeah, Nintendo is back on top. After the Switch's success, Nintendo quickly announced they'd be working on a Switch 2. It'd be bigger than ever, more advanced than ever, and would be the greatest console of all time. They would begin development immediately. Actually, boys, we need more time. Come back later and everything will be sorted out. Alright then. It's 2019, and Nintendo finally steps in and says, "Wakey wakey boys, we have a console to make." And they promptly got to work. In the past several years, we had received a new generation of consoles. They had better graphics, better hardware, and so much more. So naturally, fans expected the Switch 2 to have massive improvements compared to the Switch. While yes, the Switch was a solid console, there were some inherent flaws. Just to name a few, the graphics were less than great. The storage space was not optimized for people who play more than 100 hours of games a year. The durability of the Switch was questionable, to say the least. The Joy-Cons would easily gain stick drift, and the UI was not exactly the best. So, with all that in mind, with consoles advancing as fast as they are, fans waited in anticipation for the most advanced console in this generation to be released. And with Nintendo being one of the biggest companies ever, it wasn't brash to assume they had their best workers to ensure that this thing was perfect for release. It's January 16th, 2025. You open up YouTube and see this beautiful title. Nintendo Switch 2 First Look Trailer. My gosh. The legends were true. We are actually getting the Switch 2. After 6 years of not hearing too much about it, we at least knew it was actually real. And look, the trailer lasts for 2 minutes and 22 seconds. I wonder what all they're going to tell us about. More storage? Better graphics? Better durability? Well, not exactly. It's a showcase of the appearance of the Switch 2 and shows a few added features throughout what is essentially an ASMR video. But it doesn't outright tell us any of these features. Right. People were confused. Where's the details about the console? Then, at the end of the trailer, my gosh. April 2nd, 2025. That's only 3 months from now. And apparently, we would get a lot more details. Viewers were excited, and Switch 2 fans could take a breath of relief knowing that this thing was actually real, and that we would get more information soon. April 2nd comes, and we get a new YouTube video about the Switch 2. The first thing we see, a brand new Mario Kart and DK game. Nice. Some features present in the Switch 2 that were present in the Switch are obviously it being a handheld console, being able to cast the gameplay to a TV or monitor by using the dock. The Switch 2 also has the same width as the Switch, with it being 13.9mm deep, and the Switch 2 will also be compatible with most Switch 1 games with both physical and digital. Overall, not bad. But now it's time for the new stuff. First off, the Switch 2 is now bigger, and has a bigger display screen compared to the Switch, with the Switch only having 6.2 inches, and the Switch 2 having 7.9 inches of display. Now, you can see even more and be able to hit more insane clips. The Switch 2 supposedly now has double the pixels of the Switch, and can now render games in 1080p, as opposed to 720p. Nice. Additionally, the screen is supposed to support 120 frames per second, and the LCD screen is more vivid and supports HDR. rendering shadows better and allowing for light to pass in environments smoother. There have also been massive changes to the Joy-Cons. Here's a taste. Joy-Cons now attach magnetically. The SL and SR buttons are now significantly bigger, and the left and right Joy-Cons are also bigger, as well as the buttons, and other mainstays on the Switch controllers. And you can now use Joy-Cons like a mouse. Wanted to listen to ASMR while gaming? Well, now you can with the addition of 3D sounds to the Switch 2. Nice. They also added audio balancing, and clearer audio. The Switch 2 can now support voice chat and microphones, and even has noise cancelling capabilities. The Switch 2 will also have a built-in stand that is more sturdy to ensure only the strongest of foundations are being provided for the console. The console also now has a second USB port, so you can plug in that brand new camera for the Switch 2 so you can see the miserable look at your friends' faces as you destroy them in Mario Party.
Birmingham, if you want the fucking brawl, come down to Smethwick, ask for Danny G, I'll come out of my house and I'll break your fucking leg.
The Switch 2 can also hold up to 256GB of internal storage for games and data compared to the original 32GB of internal storage. The Switch 2 can now also display 4K resolution on TVs if it's permitted on those devices, and the game that you're playing. The Switch 2 also has better ventilation and can actually make somewhat of a difference whether or not your console blows up. Nice. Okay, these additions actually looked good. It displayed the new features on the Switch 2 without being cryptic, it made some clear improvements on some fronts, and gave us a taste for what we should expect from the console when it releases. However, there were some concerns. First off, how effective is this alleged noise cancel? If this is a console that has a system built into it like that, then that would be considered pretty high tech, especially for Nintendo, a company who, only just now, for the first time, is adding a voice chat feature in a console.
Mario.
Mind you, this is about 25 years later than the rest of the competition. Sounds promising. Also, the prices. What are they? We haven't heard anything about the prices yet, and the fans need answers. How much would it cost? $350? $375? Maybe even $400? But then, a miracle happens. We get reports of what the prices may look like, and it's so bad. The Switch 2 console is being charged for $450, which is almost $150 more than the Switch 2 being charged for. Mario Kart World will be running you about $80. Additional Switch 2 Joy-Cons will run your wallet about an additional $90. The Switch 2 charging grip will cost around $35. Joy-Con 2 straps will cost you about $13. Straps for $13. Something that should come free of charge is now being charged an additional $13. This was not sounding good. But oh, haven't spent enough money yet? Here, how about you buy 2 Joy-Con wheels for $20? What a deal. The Switch 2 camera is also being charged for $50. The Nintendo Switch 2 dock set, $110. Oh, you say you want a basic carrying set with a screen protector? Okay, first you'll need to dish out $35 for you. All-in-one carrying case, $80. You want a Nintendo branded AC adapter, something that almost every household has, and you want it for a reasonable price? What are you, an idiot? No, it needs to cost $30, because that obviously makes sense. All this together will run you about $1,073, and that's without the tax. Oh, what's that? Oh, okay. So apparently now the tariffs have a say in the price for the Switch 2 for buyers from the US. For people buying a Switch 2 from the US, the price might go up to $600 for a single Nintendo Switch 2. That's more than a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. Oh wait, what's that? The Xbox Series X and S prices have gone up an extra $100 because Nintendo's influencing the gaming space? Oh no. As great as all the Switch 2 features are, fans were outraged. $450 for a console that, on some fronts, is 5 years behind? Features priced so bad that it might cost you the same price as buying 2 modern-day consoles? Influencing the gaming market and jacking the prices for everything up exponentially? Yeah, things were not looking good. And it didn't help that digital games on the Switch 2 might be costing $80 and physical games might cost $90. As well as the fact that websites had started removing people's pre-orders for the Switch 2, like Target and Best Buy, and websites would crash like GameStop and Walmart. And now, scalpers are selling Switch 2s for up to $1,000. But then you scroll down, and you see there's a Switch 2 being sold for $450. So, you buy it. And turns out, you were scammed and it's actually just a picture of a Switch 2 being sold for the same price as an actual Switch 2. Good job, pal. You've just been scammed. And on top of this, if you want to play either New Legend Zelda games on the Switch 2 with them being more optimized for the Switch 2, well, too bad. You have to roll over an additional $30. Nothing personal, kid. Oh, you want to learn how to use the Switch 2? We'll just throw in another $10 and you can get the Switch 2 welcome tour. What a deal.
Oh, come on!
Something that on previous Nintendo consoles would be free is now being charged for $10 just to simply learn and teach you how to use the console you spent $450 on. And you want other features like being able to play online games, classic generation game libraries, cloud saves, and simple game chat? Too bad. You can't have that either. You need to pay an additional subscription to Nintendo's online service. How much? $35 a year, which initially may not sound too bad, but once you spend half your income on basic requirements for a console, it is suddenly clear that these prices are absolutely atrocious. Then, something happened. We got info that prices for other things pertaining to the Switch 2 might raise. Allegedly, of course. Like the Switch 2 Pro Controller. Is $80 too cheap? Not anymore. How about $85? You want an extra pair of Joy-Cons to be cheaper than $90? In this economy? Nah, kid. $95 for 2 extra Joy-Cons. A simple charging grip for $35? No. Too cheap. $40 now. Joy-Con straps for Switch 2? Do you know how expensive these things are to make? They can't cost $13. No. They must cost $14. Because, you know, inflation and stuff. Wheels? In this economy? Nah, pal. We'll need an extra $25. A camera built solely for the Switch 2? We can't have that now, can we? Give me money first, ask questions later, pal. We need that $55 for the next installment of the Metal Dog series. It was clear. Things were not looking good. There's now the possibility of prices for every additional feature being raised up to $5. Want a Switch 2 dock? Well, it was $110, but now it's up to... what? $120? Oh no. Switch 2 carrying case and screen protector, up to $40 now. All-in-one carrying case, $85. A stupid AC adapter for Switch 2? Sorry, pal. It costs a lot to brand these ports with a Nintendo logo. We'll leave $35 for that. People are furious. Insane prices. Some features for the console that are 5 years too late. Nintendo using inflation tariffs as an excuse for many of the problems they're giving us. People's pre-orders being taken away. Sites crashing. All Switch 2s being sold out within 1 hour of the pre-orders going live on the 24th of April. A simple tour for the device costing $10, and scalpers selling pre-orders for $1,000, and some even selling pictures of the Switch 2 for the sale price of a Switch 2? Wonderful. As of now, the Switch 2 is on track to be the best-selling console of all time. Some said it would bomb like the Wii U, but that didn't happen. Some said there was no way that people are going to support the movement towards games costing $80, but people are supporting it by buying the Switch 2. And as such, other companies like Microsoft are following in their footsteps to move forward towards $80 games as the norm in the gaming space. Whether you like it or not, the Switch 2 is changing the gaming space. And right now, it is affecting it on all fronts. For now, we'll have to wait to see whether or not the Switch 2 lives up to the hype, and for the past few days, Nintendo has stayed silent on this whole situation. So, for now, we'll have to just simply wait until June 5th to see what will happen, and how will this affect gaming in the future. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and before I go, I would just like to read a quick Bible verse real quick. Romans 14:1. As for the one who is weak in faith, welcome him, but not to quarrel over opinions. Anyways, yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I know this is a longer video, but this is an interesting situation, and if anything insane happens once the Switch releases, I'll be sure to make a part 2. But, yeah, see you guys in the next video.